Hey.
Good morning. Once again, my name is Burke Bennett. I'm the commander of American Legion Post 35 of the Hamptons. And on behalf of Post 35, I'd like to thank each one of you for joining us as a community to honor our fallen heroes. At this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Jack Lyons of the United Church of Christ in Northampton to lead us in invocation.
With deep and abiding gratitude, we gather together this day to give thanks for our military veterans, for those who currently serve and will become veterans, to those who are veterans and have been fortunate enough to return to their homes with their families, and to remember especially those who have given of their life in the pursuit of peace with honor and justice with integrity. We salute them for their faithfulness in the service to their country and its people. And since the pursuit of justice with integrity and peace with honor knows no national boundaries, we salute them for serving all peoples of all nations. We laud their courage and taking upon themselves, because most of the time they are in harm's way, the risks that such service requires, and assuming the responsibilities and vulnerabilities that those risks often create. And we are especially grateful, as they are, and honor this day the bonds of fellowship that they created with their comrades, their partners, for they were not merely fellow servants, but they were partners and comrades who depended upon one another and knew that each depended upon the other, and all together depended upon the group. As we express our thanks, as we share some memories, let us also share some hope that peace with honor and justice with integrity may come about for all peoples. Thanks in part to those who have served so faithfully. Blessed are they.
Thank you, Reverend. At this time, I'd like to ask the Piscataqua Rangers of Portsmouth, the Fife and Bugle Corps, to lead us in the national anthem. Detail, attend, hut. Present, arms. At this time, I'd like to recognize our veterans. Will all of our Army veterans please raise your hand? Give a round of applause. All of our Navy veterans, Marine Corps veterans. Air Force, United States Air Force. Coast Guard, United States Coast Guard. Our wartime merchant mariners. And our first responders, our police and firefighters. How about our Korean War vets? Where's our Korean War vets? Raise your hand. Vietnam vets. Conflicts between 1975 and 1991. Operation Desert Storm. Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Last but never least, our World War II veterans. Memorial Day weekend for most people is the unofficial start of the summer season. Although you'd never be able to tell today, would you? Something to look forward to, especially after a long New England winter. But that's not what the holiday's all about. Today we gather to remember the men and women of our military who died in service to our country. It is also a time to mark anniversaries. This year, for instance, is the 149th anniversary of the founding of Memorial Day by Union General John Logan. Next week is the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Midway, one of the most decisive naval battles in history, which proved to be a turning point in the war in the Pacific. This year also marks the 100th anniversary of the United States' entry into World War I. And it's from this war that we get one of the most enduring symbols of Memorial Day, the memorial poppy. Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae was an officer in position in the Canadian Army who in 1915 participated in the second battle at Ypres that was fought near a small Flemish town on the French and Belgian border. After presiding over the burial of a friend who was killed in the battle, McCrae noticed how poppies flourished among the graves of the soldiers buried nearby. He composed the following poem called In Flanders Fields while sitting in the back of an ambulance. In Flanders fields the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the lark still bravely singing flies scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. The poem presents a striking image of the red flowers intermixed with the white crosses on the graves of soldiers. In November of 1918, a college professor from Georgia by the name of Moyna Michael was working as a staff member for a group called the Overseas YMCA War Workers in New York City. A gentleman gave her a copy of a Ladies' Home Journal magazine that had McRae's poem in it, then titled We Shall Not Sleep. Upon reading it, Moyna said she had an almost spiritual experience, and she vowed to wear a red poppy as a symbol of remembrance and as an emblem of keeping the faith with those who died. Later, teaching a class of disabled veterans at the University of Georgia, realizing how much support these men needed, she came up with the idea of selling artificial poppies to raise funds for the disabled American soldiers. Because of her efforts, many organizations adopted her ideas for the poppies, not only in the United States, but also Great Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And because of her efforts, the poppies quickly became one of the most recognized symbols of the sacrifices made by American and Allied service members who died in war. Today, the poppy still serves as a reminder of those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom and to support the living heroes who have worn our country's uniform. This weekend is the beginning of the summer season. I ask that throughout the year, when you take a moment to look at a memorial poppy, remember the sacrifices of those who gave all so that we can live in freedom. Our guest speaker this morning is Chief Warrant Officer Dan Yersezian, United States Army retired. Dan spent his younger years living around the world and in various locations in the United States as a result of his father being in the Air Force. Originally moving to Hampton in 1959 and ultimately returning to stay in 1967, Dan graduated from Winnicott High School in 1974. Upon graduation, Dan entered the United States Army and had a host of assignments, including Headquarters, Training and Doctrine Command, Fort Monroe, Virginia; Headquarters, U.S. Army Europe, Heidelberg, Germany; Headquarters, Defense Communications Agency, the Pentagon; Headquarters, United States Army, Japan, in Tokyo; Headquarters, 18th Airborne Corps, Fort Bragg, North Carolina; and the White House Communications Agency at the White House. His last assignment while serving at the White House was twofold. He had duties as a presidential communications officer, serving Presidents Bush and Clinton. As a presidential communications officer, he would travel with or in advance of the president, ensuring that secure and non-secure communications were available regardless of location in the world. His secondary duty was that of officer in charge of the Record Communications Branch at the White House, which consisted of 3 divisions: the White House Communications Room, communications equipment and staff related to the White House Situation Room, and the Russian Translator section. His awards and decorations include the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Army Meritorious Service Medal, Defense Communication Medal, Army Commendation Medal 5th Award, Defense Achievement Medal, Army Achievement Medal 2nd Award, Presidential Unit Citation, Parachutist Wings, and Presidential Service Badge, among others. He retired from the Army after 20 years of service, and most recently, Dan retired from the Hampton Police Department, where he spent the last 12 years working in the communications section. Dan has a bachelor's degree in computer science and a second degree in business management from the University of Maryland, Tokyo campus, and also possesses a master's degree in computers and information resource management from Webster University. Dan is married to the former Diane Euler, who also deserves a medal. They began dating as teenagers at Winnicott. And this July, they will celebrate their 41st anniversary. Henceforth, this is why this lady deserves a medal. They have 2 adult sons and 3 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Chief Warrant Officer Janet Nersezian, United States Army, retired.
Good morning. Good morning on this grand and glorious summer day in Seacoast, New Hampshire. I'd like to talk for just a couple of moments on 2 very near and dear topics to me. The first of which is family. The commander just mentioned a lot of things regarding me and my family in general. My 2 brothers and my father and I are all retired military. We all retired from different branches of the service. My father spent 28 years in the Air Force from 1941 to 1969. Was a World War II vet, a Korean conflict vet, and a Vietnam vet. My brother Bobby was in the Marine Corps for 24 years, retired, was an infantryman in Vietnam, decorated. My brother Lee was in the Coast Guard for 24 years, serving around the world. And again, I was in the Army for 20 years. In my family, that's 96 years of military service, 54 years of continued service to the United States. And we're very prideful of that. And I could not have done that. And I only mention that as a precursor to what I'm truly proud of, and that's the spouses, both men and women, in the United States military. It's the spouses who take care of all those things that the service member doesn't have to do because he or she is forward deployed. My wife took care of everything related to raising our family, making sure the children were squared away. Everything was all set at home and done. That gave me the opportunity to go forward and do all sorts of grand and glorious things for the United States, which I got recognition for, which she never did. So. Spouses in the military today do not get mentioned, do not get credit, and most of all, sometimes don't have a venue or a place to go to find out what they can do or can't do. So if you know of a service member, active duty, reservist, National Guard, whatever the case may be, and they're looking for some assistance, help them out. You're probably just going to have a question or 2. The second issue I'd like to talk briefly about today is PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of military members are not affected by this whatsoever, but we do have a few, and they come back from whatever environment they may have been in, and they don't know where to turn. Some of them get out of the service immediately, and they're bothered by issues. Some are in a few years, or some are old retirees or people who suddenly later on in their life are affected. And it's the infamous why me syndrome of why did I survive unscathed when my mates did not. And some of these people are looking for some assistance, and they're in this crowd right now. And that goes for the spouses also, because the whole time the service members are forward, again, the spouses are home taking care of things, and they're under a lot of stress. Being a single parent is a difficult enough task, but to be a single spouse in the military, or to be a spouse that's taking care of people on the home front, is a very difficult task, because you're worried about everything that's happening in a forward environment. So there's a lot of stress involved in that. So if you happen to know someone that needs some assistance, chat with them. If you happen to know somebody that just wants to have a talk or a question, chat with them. And as I've mentioned previously, if you know somebody, this is a large family right here. This whole community of Northampton, this whole community here of all these veterans, they're all a place where folks can go to and chat with. And if you know a veteran or a service member who's looking for a job or looking for assistance of some kind and you don't know where to turn, you can call the commander or you can call me, and I assure you, I will get them a job. And that is a solemn promise. Thank you. And again, I just want to say thank you, and I want to say thank you to my wife of 41 years. Love you. God be with you, and God bless the USA. Thank you.
He is a very tough act to follow. At this time, I'd like to ask Gunnery Sergeant Mike McDonald, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam vet, to place a wreath. Detail, attend, hut. At this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Jack Lyons to offer a benediction.
As we move from this place, and this opportunity that we have had very briefly to offer our thanks and gratitude, may we never forget the sacrifices that service of these veterans have given to all of us across this nation and this globe. And may we resolve always to help those families who have experienced loss of loved ones, who have persons in their families who are still suffering from those traumatic experiences that just won't go away. And may we always keep in our hearts and souls our faithful commitment to treat these persons, as indeed all persons, but especially these, with the dignity and worth that they deserve and warrant, for who they are, for what they have done for us, and what they have meant in the pursuit of peace with honor and justice with integrity. God bless them all.
At this time, a list of conflicts the United States has been involved with will be read by Major Fred Rice, United States Army, Special Forces, Vietnam, and the bell will be tolled by Petty Officer Joe Cutt, United States Navy, Vietnam. Detail.
As we go about our day today, I would ask that you keep in mind all of the wars and conflicts in which Americans have served and died in order to preserve our freedom and our way of life. The American Revolution, the War of 1812, the Indian Wars, the Mexican Wars, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, America's conflicts from 1975 to 1991, Operation Desert Storm, Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, and the global war on terrorism.
Detail, attend hut, present, arms. Firing party. Salute the fallen.
Attention. Port arms. Prepare to fire. Ready, aim, fire. 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 Port arms. Present arms.
Ready? 2. Order. Arms. Maybe if we don't touch it, we'll be okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as we transition from our Memorial Day observance to the 275th anniversary of Northampton, I would like to ask State Representative Henry Marsh to come up and do a short reading.
Hopefully this will be just the transition, and what I'm going to read is something that was read at the State House this last week in the observance of Memorial Day. It's from a different perspective. Hello, remember me. Some people call me Old Glory. Others call me the Star-Spangled Banner. But whatever they call me, I am your flag. The flag of the United States of America. Something has been bothering me, so I thought I might talk it over with you, because is it about you and me? I remember some time ago when people lined on both sides of the street to watch the parade, and naturally, I was leading every parade. Proudly waving in the breeze. When your daddy saw me coming, immediately removed his hat and placed it against his left shoulder so that his hand was directly over his heart. Remember. And I remember you standing there, straight as a soldier. You didn't have a hat, but you were giving the right salute. Remember your little sister. Not to be outdone, she was saluting the same with her right hand over her heart. Remember. What happened? I'm still the same flag. Oh, I have a few more stars since you were a boy. A lot more blood has been sent, excuse me, a lot more blood has been shed since those parades of long ago. But now I feel as proud as I used to. When I come down your street, you just stand, excuse me, I don't stand, excuse me, but now my glasses are old. But now I don't feel as proud as I used to. When I come down your street, you just stand there, your hands in your pockets. Oh, I might get a small glance, and then you look away. Then I see the children running around and shouting. They don't seem to know who I am. I saw one man take his hat off and then look around and didn't see anyone else with theirs off, so he quickly put it back on. Is it a sin to be a patriotic anymore? Have you forgotten what I stand for, where I've been? Anzio, Guadalcanal, Korea, Vietnam. Take a look at the Memorial Honor Roll, directly in front of us here, for those that never came back. One nation under God. When you salute me, you are saluting them. Well, it won't be long until I'll be coming down your street again. So when you see me, stand straight. Place your right hand over your heart, and I'll salute you by waving back. And I'll know that you remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. At this time, everybody is invited to sing America the Beautiful with the Northampton School Alumni Chorus. Everybody, since this is the 275th anniversary of Northampton, to sing a round of Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Northampton. Happy birthday to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out this morning. I know you've got a big celebration ahead of you today. Just remember that we hold a Memorial Day celebration every Memorial Day, the same place, same time. We'd love to see you again next year. This is a wonderful crowd. We also do the same thing on Veterans Day. I'd like to thank Chief Warrant Officer Nersesian, Reverend Lyons, the Piscataqua Rangers, Lieutenant Colonel Antonio and Master Sergeant Paulino, and the Winnicott High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC Color Guard, Mary Oliver and the students, along with the Northampton School Band, Bugler Mark Weatherby, Gunnery Sergeant Mike McDonald, Fred Rice, Joe Cutt. Thank you to all our scouts. Thank you to the Post 35 Firing Party and Color Guard. Thank you to our state reps, especially Henry Marsh, Northampton Selectmen, and other dignitaries. Thanks to the Northampton Police and Fire Departments. And a special thank you to all our vets. I'd also like to throw a shout out and thank John Savastano and his crew, and the Channel 22 crew. They will be having a military program all day. This concludes our ceremony. There will be a parade in Hampton at 11:30, followed by a High Street Cemetery service. Happy 275th to Northampton. God bless and keep our fallen heroes. God bless the servicemen and women of our armed forces. God bless the United States of America. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jim Maggiore, Chairman of the Select Board in Northampton, who will carry on the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Very, very briefly, we want to transition to our 275th anniversary, and to do so, I have a proclamation from the governor. It reads, "The state of New Hampshire, by His Excellency, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor, a commendation in the year of our Lord 2017, Northampton's 275th anniversary. Whereas Northampton, having been incorporated under the laws and with the authorization of the General Court in 1742, is now 275 years old. And whereas the town started out with approximately 500 citizens and has grown over the years to over 4,300. And whereas the early settlements at North Hill and Little River grew into the present town center with its 1844 town hall, and whereas community spirit has been an important component of Northampton's history from the Revolutionary War days when citizens fought for an independent nation. to the present when citizens are celebrating the town's history. Which will be on display in the town hall. I'd like to invite everyone to enjoy the exhibits at the library, our town clerk tax collector's office, and at the town hall. And invite everyone to the barbecue that we're having, which we were hoping to have outside, but is now inside where it's warm and dry at the fire station. And lastly, to thank the 275th Anniversary Committee for all their hard work over these months to bring us all together and celebrate the history of Northampton. Thank you.
We wanted to say hi.
How you doing?
How are you, buddy? She was here and then where's she now? Yeah.
Are they stopping?
I'm like, we can go anytime. What else do they do? They like to show.
Hey, how are you, Johnny? Good to see you. Freezing. That's how I'm doing, man. It's cold.
Well, we're very excited about the number of people who came out today to brave the cold, cold weather and the mist that we enjoy here on the seacoast to celebrate, not only honor Memorial Day, the servicemen and women who lost their lives fighting for our country, but also to help us kick off the 275th birthday celebration. We have had a huge turnout. Everyone marched in the parade that could. I think we had 20 bicycles all decorated for the contest. It was a great day, and a huge thanks to the American Legion and to the governor for the proclamation for the 275th.
Everything's going wonderfully. We've gotten at least 250 people. We had a wonderful ceremony for the American Legion, and it's just going great. And the ice cream has arrived, so we're all happy about that. So I think things are good.
You know, it's a rainy day here on Memorial Day, and yet we have a phenomenal turnout. We're just saying that the town always comes out and supports and honors veterans. But now to also see that the town is coming out in this kind of support for the 275th and in the spirit of community is exciting. And that's what everybody out here is commenting on. Even Mr. Hillier, who is cooking away out there with the hot dogs. It's all absolutely fantastic.
I think we have a very impressive turnout today. Very exciting to see the kids in the parade. I really enjoyed seeing the pipe and drum band, the Continental uniforms. That was a highlight for me, but it's very exciting to see everybody here today. What do you think, Deputy? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. This has been an incredible turnout despite the weather. I'm so glad that everybody remembered what this day is all about. It's Memorial Day. They're coming out here to memorize all of our veterans, and it's just an incredible turnout. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.